watch last night's TCU game?
Yeah,
And what do you think of the league after watching that?
I watched both games last night. Iowa State OU was a great game, and then the TCU Baylor game was a high-level game. That was some good ball. And I thought Baylor was obviously great the first half, and TCU was fantastic the second half. So it was a great game to watch. Guys making plays.
Zuby's been getting more minutes as of late. I guess what's behind that? What's he doing to earn that for you?
Well, he hasn't played a ton, but he's been our first big off the bench. So that's basically, and in practice over the last 3 weeks, he's been our best big off the bench. So, I thought Cam had a couple of really good days last week. And both of them played fairly well against Tech. I actually thought that there were some good things in very limited minutes what they did. But Zuby's, you guys know, he's our best shot blocker, and he just, not near as aggressive as what we'd like to see, going after the ball all the time. But he's been our most consistent in practice.
And then also just any update on Joe and his status ahead of?
I haven't seen Joe since the game, so I didn't see Joe yesterday. So Bill said he's making progress, and we knew all along it was day to day. So hopefully he'll be able to practice. If not today, hopefully go tomorrow. But right now we still don't know. I don't know.
What have you seen from Cam that made you feel comfortable putting him out there the other night?
He's a good short roll guy, and that was what we tried to play to the first half. So I mean, he's our second best short roll guy behind KJ. So that was the biggest reason for that.
And to that point too, Bobby, after the game, he kind of called that your go-to offense right now. I don't know that that's his place to say that, but is that fair? I mean, are you guys playing to that as sort of a primary thing?
Well, it's what we're trying to do is drive and force help, and if that's what teams give us, then that's what we want to try to play to. But depending on how people guard ball screens, that's what we should try to play to. We're not great at it yet, but we're getting better. They defended us differently the second half, and we didn't get to it at all the second half there. So, but KJ is pretty good in there. Cam's pretty good. Zach's pretty good in there. Zuby and Ernest aren't where they are in that position. Although Zuby got his 3 points on short roll with the kick out, I think, to Jay Will maybe there at Tech. So that's something that we've been practicing a lot at.
Getting back to the league too, it's physical. It has been for every team so far. It's not entirely new. You guys have been pretty physical the last few years, but are you seeing more of that? Are you seeing and talking to your team about, hey, this is the league. This is how we're going to have to play, and maybe preparing for that differently or bracing for it or whatever?
So we got a memo saying that the physical play is going to be eliminated.
Oh,
at least in some ways, as far as getting the first guilty person that's creating the physical play, and that's happened every year. I mean, that's not a big deal to give a memo, because I think every year midway point in the season we kind of get away from the emphasis the way it was intended to now the game's kind of settling in. Now we need to make sure it doesn't get any more physical, so let's get it back under control, that kind of stuff. But guys, I mean, we shot 14 free throws in 2 games. I mean, we haven't got to the free throw line at all. So the way I look at it, and our teams have shot quite a bit more than our opponents, and I'm not saying anything about officiating, but we got to find a way to get to the free throw line, and the way that you do that if you play the way we play is to drive it. So hopefully we can become better at that. But the reality, I haven't felt, and you guys know better than me because you watch it, and I see it every day, so I don't probably notice it as much as what you guys do. I haven't felt it being ridiculously physical.
Sure.
I have not. I didn't think the Oklahoma State game was, even though there was some physical plays, but I didn't see that. And I certainly didn't think the Texas Tech game was, even though there's some physical plays. People tell me after the game, man, that was a very physical game. And to be honest with you, I did not feel that, coaching the game. But because I guess I'm just so used to that's just the way the game is, in today's game.
KJ did.
KJ did?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I wanted to ask one more thing about that too. If this
KJ
is
should, because he's 6'6", guarding
Right,
7 foot.
exactly.
That's a little different for him.
yeah, if that, whether the memo works or it changes or not, do you look long range, and say, okay, if this is what our league is, and there's going to be battles like that, and they're going to let them play, do you worry about postseason and how that could prepare you guys for different crews?
I think it's the job of the officials, to be honest with you, and Curtis, to make sure that the game's called the way they want the game called in the tournament. And to be honest with you, we got we got good officials, the best officials in our league working it. So I haven't felt it the way that maybe you guys have felt it or seen it. But I'm just talking about the sample size is 2 games for me, where if you watch the sample size of being 10 games so far in our league, it may feel different for other coaches.
Now that you have the premier three-point shooter in Big 12 conference play, your three-point shooting numbers are actually going up, 38%. And you got Bobby and Joe who've come in with some success there. We just talk about this team's ability to knock down the three.
Well, Juan obviously is 7 for 7. So it's we thought all along, going into the season, that this team, for us to be a good team, we're gonna probably have to shoot a fairly high percentage of threes. The negative is that in our league so far, the 2 games in which we've shot the 3 very well, our opponents have shot it just as well. We're 46.8%, and our opponents are 46%. So it's not like it's been a huge advantage for us being a good 3-point shooting team, because we haven't guarded the arc at all up until this point in the first 2 games. So, but to your point, Dave, it's going to go down. You're not going to shoot 47% as a team over the course of a league play, but it's got to go down on the other end too. We've got to do a better job defending the arc, and certainly in the first 2 games, even though you go back and look at it, those 2 or 3 that Banner and Tatum threw in, those are shots you want the other team to take under most circumstances, unless they're O'Bannon and Tatum in those particular moments. We didn't do a good job against Okie State at all, in my opinion, defending the arc. But we defended it better than our percentages show. But we got to get better at that. Got to.
I know before you mentioned that this is kind of the style of West Virginia team that Huggins has been trying to build, and Jalen called it, a really tough place to play, and just overall very physical overall. What on tape have you seen from this West Virginia team that you kind of expect going in?
What do I expect going in?
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing. They're plus 10.5 rebounding in the 2 games in the league. They always rebound the ball. They always, if they don't press, they always pressure. They put pressure on you defensively to go make plays, and they're great at rotating, taking charges, things like that. For us, I think we're 4-6 in the 10 years Hugs has been there, that they've been in the league at their place, and that's not good, but that's not awful. You'd like to win 50% of the games in every building you go into. So, they've given us problems there. We've struggled there. So, last year we actually performed pretty well, start to finish. But there's been many times out there they controlled the game from start to finish. So they'll be thirsty, hungry. They've lost 2 games that they could be 2-0 in. Instead, they're 0-2, and we won 2 games that we could be 0-2 in. So that's how good our league is right now.
Here's with Bobby. What have you thought about his level of play, or maybe getting more comfortable since he had the hamstring injury?
Oh yeah, Bobby's been good. He's been a much needed addition for us off the bench, and obviously to your point, when you play West Virginia and they got 2 little guards that can play up underneath you, the whole time, he's gonna be very important to give Juan minutes, because Juan's not gonna be able to play 35 minutes in this particular game, at the pace and the physicality of what it'll probably be going against pressure all the time. So, Bobby's very important to our success, and he's done very well.
What do you think about the two guard lineups you've done with Bobby and Juwan on the floor? How do you feel like that's evolved this season so far?
I think we've done fine. You know, it's not exactly playing Frank and Devontae back there. You know, both of them, you know, can get 20 or 25 in a game. But they both play to their strengths pretty well together. I think they like playing together. And certainly, I look at Bobby as a valuable piece to allow Juan to stay a little fresh. You go back over time and you look at when Juan has been careless or screwed some things up, it's usually because he hadn't had a sub. And so hopefully that'll help us down the road, you know, getting him out more, because, you know, you're gonna have to have him in there late.
I think the last 3 times you guys won in Morgantown, last year you guys win the title, 2020, obviously the COVID canceled year, but would have been probably #1 seed. And then 2018 when you made a Final Four. Is that just coincidence, or does it kind of speak to when you can win in there, it usually means you got a pretty good team?
Well, it's coincidence, because if you go back and look at the times we've lost there, we've been a #1 seed in the NCAA tournament, you know, majority of the times that we lost there too. So, I would say that we're probably reading into it a little bit too much. But now that you've said it, let's go win there. Okay, so maybe that'll bode well for us down the road.
Were you able to speak with Huggins after he was inducted? And what do you think of his induction? Was that long overdue?
Well, I've talked to Hugs too many times since he was inducted, because that was back in September, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, yeah, anybody that's won that many games as Hugs has, and he's won what, over 900 games, and that's with you know, taking a year off and some other stuff. He's been absolutely great for our sport, and you guys know how I feel about him. You know, I don't want to give him too much credit, but certainly he's been a huge addition to our league, both when he was at K-State and obviously at West Virginia.
You helped him raise a ton of money. Has he asked you to come back again this year?
No, he went, first of all, I didn't help him. He did that. They did that all on their own. I was able to provide entertainment by being a punching bag at the time in which I was there. So, which I'm sure that, you know, he's very grateful for on that. And the price was very cheap for me to offer to do that. But I think he's got Charles coming back this year. So he told me the other day he's got Charles, so whatever we raised last year, he'll kill it this year.
How would you grade your team's performance in terms of Big 12 play, right? It's a small sample size, you know, long season. What's kind of that message, right? You said eliminate the 3-point shooting percentage. How do you move forward, and what's kind of that message in the locker room to kind of, you know, get over that, I would say get over the hump, but continue the success you guys are on right now?
Yeah, well, first of all, anybody that knows our league, that knows that we shouldn't apologize for winning. I don't think that anytime you go on the road and you win, I think it's a great win in our league, and even the same at home. I mean, you look at Texas Tech, they're 0-2. They could have beat us. They could have beat TCU at TCU. I mean, that's the type of league it is, and so 1 week can make a huge difference in momentum and standing and all that. But my message to the team is you know, we actually got to guard better, and we got to rebound better, and we got to be a little tougher, but it's the same thing I tell my teams every year at this point in time. And the other thing on the league, I mean, you stop and think, there's 16 more games left, and it's a long grind. You can't get 2 up or 2 down. No matter where you're at, there's still time to change it one way or another. So, but you can't waste opportunities, and so far we've been fortunate that we have not.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Coach.